Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade,
And I'm Joe.
and today we're doing a Wade pick. And for some reason, I thought this was very wintry and Christmassy. We're doing Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro. It is Deltorian, as we were told to say off camera, by the powers that be. Um, but yeah, this is one of his probably his most acclaimed, aside from like Shape of Water, of course. But like this is the most like kind of like the go-to.
I guess.
I mean, you can also say Hellboy and all that, but I feel like this is like when you say Guillermo del Toro, you think Pan's Labyrinth. That's the you see the DVD cover or VHS cover, whatever, and you're like, that.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, I believe you told me a long time ago that like you've seen this movie and you weren't the biggest fan.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so you were the person that was like, um, I don't know where to start with this. Basically, it's about this girl, Ophelia, and she goes in this underground kingdom, and yeah. And meanwhile, while she's doing this magical fairy tale, there's like fascism going on, and like just people getting killed. And this is like after this. This is like I think 5 years after the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, it's a little bit after the Spanish Civil War.
Yes, and
Franco has won.
yes, and there's just like yeah, it's basically it's between like a political war movie and fairy tale. That's the two movies you got, and they kind of intertwine at times, and that's about the plot. I don't want to go too much into the plot because I think it's a movie that people have to watch to go through. And I mean, obviously everyone knows about the Pale Man, everyone knows about that, and the Fawn and stuff like that, you know. So Joe,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to say what I want to say or what you want to say.
Why don't you start, Wade?
Okay, I like the movie. It's not my favorite Del Toro movie. I understand why people love it. I understand it. I do like how it's kind of like people say dark fairy tale, but this is a very different kind of fairy tale where it's like very real, and it's a very like kind of like it's a fairy tale about rebellion and breaking the rules. Like every Ophelia basically does not listen to any kind of figure. Doesn't listen to the fawn near the end. Does not listen to Vidal. Does not listen to many people. So she's just kind of like rebelling against the power, the fascism, I guess. I mean, a good example is the scene with the Pale Man. The most famous scene in this movie is, you know, kind of mimics the dinner scene with Vidal. And he has that dinner table, and then you see the pile of shoes, which is very Auschwitz a little bit. Very talk about another fascist um, group, empire, whatever. Um, so it's kind of like doing that, and she eats the grape, and that's breaking the rules because now the little fairy's like, "Don't do that," and she's like, "I'm gonna do it anyway," just to kickstart it, to spark it. Yeah, and Captain Vidal is a dick. It ends pretty. It ends sad, but not really sad. You know. So I like the movie, and I know Joe's gonna just rip it apart right now. So I'm trying to savor it. So this review is kind of like Pan's Labyrinth, where it's like it's fantasy, but then it's also real.
Yeah.
Joe.
Um, I was the person that you knew that did not like this movie.
Has it changed?
I appreciate it more.
Okay.
Um, and I do like it. It is a kind of, I guess, dark fairy tales. I guess the way that people want to call it. Um, Again, I hesitate to do that because I know how much
The
like
phrase is thrown around.
well, it's how many fairy tales have been Americanized
Yes.
and Disneyfied, where you know, in their original state they were very different. But yeah, this is very like Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, um, only to find out that she's the reincarnation of this princess. And I guess one way you can interpret the movie is that she's using this to completely block out the reality and accept a fantasy where she is important, where she has agency and she can affect things and make a difference. Because I mean, there's the signs like where Vidal chases her in the labyrinth and he doesn't see the fawn.
But also, you could throw
it's all kind of part of her imagination that's kind of crumbling in because of all this kind of wear and tear her mind's been going through.
Or he didn't see the fawn because he has no imagination, or he has no good in his heart. I guess he has no that light. You could also make that argument. He also took that sleeping potion thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could have been like altering his. It's weird.
I didn't know sleeping potions made you not hallucinate. You would think he would see more.
I don't know.
But it's one of these things where there's so much of a subplot with the Spanish Civil War and Vidal chasing down these rebels. There's so much given to it, and there really isn't the most overlap with the other side of the story. And it's telling two completely different stories that intertwine at the last moment.
It's Labyrinth.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's... I just think there's way too much given to one or the other.
You think there's,
It's like split 50-50.
Yeah.
And I think there should be one that dominates over the other.
Like 60-40, 70-30.
You know, one story should be your main story, and in Pan's Labyrinth, I would hope, like, your A story would be the
fantasy.
Would be the fantasy, or at least if you're going to minimize it because, you know, you want to maximize the effect of each scene, have the other one dominate, but, like, kind of give more direct kind of allegories, you know, to the fantasy world.
Yeah. I see where
you're
coming from.
It's very A Lion, Witch in the Wardrobe. It's very Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Like, it's not the most original kind of general ideas.
I feel like the two plots that they're 50-50, I feel like I said, it's like a labyrinth where you have two people on different sides of the labyrinth and they eventually meet up in the middle.
Who are the two people?
Like, you have the fantasy and then you have the realism. And they kind of...
So you're saying those are your agents?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's just say Ophelia and Vidal. Vidal is the most real character and Ophelia is the more imaginative character. She's more into the fantastical like ideas, and Vidal's like, this is how it is.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of great elements in there, and I really do kind of subscribe to the interpretation that the whole fantasy, the Pan's Labyrinth, the fawn, all that stuff is just made up stories in her head, and it's literally a way for her to escape her reality. And, you know, find agency within herself, which is one of the things Del Toro talks about when he talks about the ending.
Yeah.
She finally makes a choice that has, you know, ramifications.
Yes.
So, but, like, throughout the whole movie, like, the mandrake and the milk, there's, you know, just the idea of the fawn itself and fairies and that she's, you know, the reincarnated princess. Like, it's all obviously her trying to comfort herself in you know, in an imaginary environment.
Yeah.
And I do like that, and I like exploring that idea. But, yeah.
I love the score in this movie.
The score is great.
I also think that the CGI is really good. There's times where it doesn't work as well. There's times
it's not the CG's.
It's mostly the creature design looks great. I think the creature design is great.
It's from a time where CG was still working out certain kinks, but a lot of the practical effects are great. The creature design is great too.
Yeah.
But this is one of the first Del Toro movies I'd seen, and it didn't impress me as much as everybody else. And I still think it's not his best movie.
I know. I mean,
and I've seen a few more of his movies since then. But yeah, to me it's good, not great.
I wouldn't say it's his best movie. I think it's more of his most well-known movie, his cult movie.
There's a lot of great performances in it.
Mm-hmm.
You have Ophelia, Mercedes, Ophelia's mother, Vidal, the doctor. They're all great performances. I wish that there was a little bit more overlap. To me, it's like it's missing a couple pieces before it becomes a masterpiece.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's not one I'm probably gonna have to watch again. Maybe, that final scene is what everybody remembers. But like I said, it's to me it's missing a couple elements.
Yes. So buy, rent, or skip.
I'm not gonna say skip. Because I do think that it's worth watching once, just for the experience. I think everybody should, even though it is in Spanish, which not everybody's going to gravitate to. Not everybody likes subtitles, but we are talking to the Criterion faithful.
Yeah,
they're going to deal with it.
Yeah,
but I think everybody should watch it once.
I feel like subtitles has got good visuals.
Yeah, it's got great visuals. Doug Jones, I forgot to mention this.
Yes.
Great performance, and he had to do it in a language he was not familiar with. But like I said, to me, it's missing a few things that keep it from being a great or a masterpiece. And I think it's one way to get into kind of the more Del Toro of the Del Toro movies, like the ones where he has kind of his full control over,
has his flavor on,
and he can do whatever he wants.
Del Toro
outside of things like Pacific Rim or like Hellboy, which you get touches of Del Toro, but not quite full Del Toro. Same thing with even Kronos being his first movie. He's more limited by the budget back then. This is very much more of, I can do what I want now. I can bring some of these things into reality that that I was imagining, the way I was imagining them.
Yeah.
But I think there are better entries in his filmography.
I'll say bye. I like this movie. I think it's worth owning. I definitely maybe get that Guillermo del Toro box they have. The Criterion has.
Yeah, it's got the three of them in it, right?
It's got that and Devil's Backbone, which we have not done yet. We might do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we have to do a lot of Criterion movies in the future.
Yeah.
So that's our thoughts. Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Buy it. I like it. I think it's worth buying. I think it's worth having in your collection. It's got a lot of, like I said, it's not a masterpiece, no, but it's got a lot going for it. It's different. It has a good look to it. It has good performances in it. It has a good score in it. It has a good idea to it. It's a buy for me. And on that note, we are down to... we are going... Oh, sorry, I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this. But comment, subscribe, share. Let us know what you think about Pan's Labyrinth. What's your favorite Del Toro movie? It doesn't even have to be a Criterion movie. What's your favorite Del Toro movie? Is it Shape of Water? Is it Devil's Backbone? Is it Pacific Rim?
Is it Crimson Peak?
But yeah, anyway, we are. This is next week is our last Criterion Connection of the year. Then we're gonna take a break for like the holiday, and then we'll be back. I think the second week of January, because January starts in the middle of a week.
Yeah.
Second week of January, we'll be back with more Criterion Connection. But next week, should we tell them what it is?
I don't care.
Anyway, we're gonna do Solaris, not the George Clooney one, the Tarkovsky one, which we still get a lot of like feedback from Stalker. So I think, you know what? Let's end the year on a 3-hour sci-fi movie, Solaris. So until next time, I'm Wade,
And I am Joe.
and we will see you later.